How to deal with bad coworkers. Listen up and stay tuned. What's up, everyone? I am your wonderful host, the coach, and along with me today is my man Rifa. Rifa, how you doing, my man?
Man, I am doing great. It's an awesome day. How y'all
Yes,
doing
sir.
out there?
I know it is an awesome day, and of course, in Texas, it's about to get hot. So, with that being said, today's show, we're going to talk about how to deal with bad coworkers. But before we do that, please like, share, and subscribe, and share with a friend or family members. And help us achieve this goal and grow in this channel so we can reach more people out there that may be dealing with problems in the workplace. So, with that being said, let's get started. So, the first thing, if you have bad coworkers at your job and you're trying to move up in the company, then the first piece of advice I want to offer you is to find a mentor, somebody that will look out for you. It could be another employee who has some seniority in the company. It could be a supervisor, or it could be an executive or somebody in upper management. Just somebody that's going to allow you the opportunity to grow in that company and to possibly advance. Now, if you're trying to leave your job, or if you just want to go to work and do your job so you can go home and complete that 9 to 5, but you look up and you have all this toxicity going on because guess what? You have bad coworkers. Now, first, I want to categorize some of them and how I named them and came up. And you out there, leave in the comments section of what you call different coworkers who are very toxic or causing trouble on your job. So the first category that I have is the brown nosers, better known as ass kissers. And they make the job harder for everyone else because they will never tell the boss no on anything. And then what ends up happening is it gives the boss extra power and leverage because then they expect all the employees to do the same thing as that one employee does. No matter what the task is, if it's breaking a policy, rule, or procedure, they want you to not tell them no. So that's one category. Second category is the snitches. The snitches are the employees who they'll talk to you and talk to other coworkers and maybe stir up a negative conversation about a boss or a negative employee, or excuse me, or another employee. And then they will take that intel, run back to the boss and tell them that, hey, you said so and so, or you said ABC XYZ. And then next thing you know, the boss is coming at you all sideways and in left field and assigning extra work or whatever it is that they use to punish you, you're being punished. Third category, politicians. These are the men and women who try to find dirt on the boss or other employees, and they use this as blackmail to either cover up their shortcomings or trying to get a promotion or a job advancement or anything in that nature. So they're looking for you to misstep at your job or looking for the boss to do something wrong, and they won't come out and say it. They will wait till it's evaluation time or it's time to apply for a position. Then they will lay the dirt out on you or the boss and say, well, hey, remember when you did this on this project? You screwed this up. I stayed quiet, but now I'm finna sing like a canary. Fourth category, fairy tales. They are the employees who believe upper management will always do the right thing for you. We kind of discussed this offline, right, Rifa?
Yes, we did.
Only to be wrong when changes happen in the company and organization. So I understand it's okay to be positive sometimes when the company is going through change or they're reorganizing, but the fairy tales, they're going to be kind of over extreme and
Oh, yeah, the company is going to take care of me. I have 10 years and they would never lay me off or fire me, or I'll fall victim to a reduction in force or anything in that nature.
only to be wrong. And then even when they are wrong and these things don't happen the way they said they would, they still try to stand on those laurels and still try to defend their decision that management did the right thing. And then you have the cliques, gangs, and crews. This is a group of people, and they are detrimental because they all gang up together and then they want certain things to happen in the workplace, maybe a longer lunchtime, or maybe they don't want to do the harder jobs or the projects. And what they'll try to do, they'll try to recruit people and use you as the pawn on the chessboard. So whenever the supervisor decides to say, hey, I'm breaking this mess up, this crew or gang or clique, then they'll turn around and just like the snitch, they'll throw you in front of the fire and say, well, hey, it was his idea, or he's the one that went to the union or HR or EEO and put in that complaint. You'll be the one in the line of fire and you'll be the one that have to answer to your boss by yourself. Finally, you have the office slaves, as I call them. And these are the employees, they are just happy to have a damn job. They don't give a damn about anything else. These employees, they do not care if they get promoted or if they're advancing in their careers. They don't care if the company cuts their pay, benefits, vacation, or retirement. As I just said, they're just happy to have a damn job. And usually those are your older employees who probably have 30 or 40 years with the company. And they just feel they have nothing else to do in life but to stay at this job. This is the only reason they get up and breathe every day. And that's sad and unfortunate. So, with all that being said, Rifa, I'm gonna bring you up to the microphone and tell me, have you experienced any of these type of employees, or maybe you have different categories or names that you call these different employees?
Yes, definitely. I know I've dealt with the brown noser, the one you called
Snitches.
snitches. So with those, I mean, I could recall a situation where I was in a company, and when I started with another individual, and so we pretty much on the same level. So within a year or so, I was promoted to be a district trainer, and
Mhm.
this individual was actually under me at that point. But I mean, things going into that situation, like after I think 2 months of me being promoted, of course, find out that this individual has been going out behind my back,
Mhm.
talking about the way I was training, the way I was, I guess, implementing rules and regulations from the company to other associates. And it was weird because even when I first got promoted, he was one of the first person to say, "Hey, congratulations, great job! You are so awesome. You definitely
Yep.
deserve it." And again, to find out all that stuff been going on, and he's been talking to my boss every time. Like, I guess if I might have misspoke certain things or certain rules in certain way, he still, and I'm sure even if I did, I end up correcting it, but didn't realize that my so-called friend or buddy was the one that's putting mud behind my back. And I
Mhm.
mean, it hurts, but it's one of those to where once I find out that was going on, I just kind of disengaged personally with him,
Mhm.
and so everything between me and him just became professional. I mean,
Yeah.
long story short, he ended up leaving. And again, I mean, as far as being friends, we were still friends, but the fact that we're not in the same company, so that kind of helped. And I never brought the fact that I real find out what he was saying. So I mean, we all deal with people like that.
Yeah. But as you were saying, similar story to what you were experiencing. And that is when I first came to San Antonio some years ago, and I got a job on the base as a civil servant. Y'all know my story in previous podcasts. I was working in a heating, ventilation, air conditioning shop. Well, nobody wanted to talk to me. And just to make a long story short, the reason why I was alienated on day one when I walked into the shop is because I was the wrong skin color. Everybody was expecting me to be a few shades lighter, and that wasn't the case. So anyway, this one guy, older gentleman, he came up to me and he was kind of like what you said this other guy was. He was kind of like the trainer, and he was the guy that ordered tools for the other workers in the shop and things like that. So make a long story short, he was being nice to me. So we started talking. And then all of a sudden, he went in, he told our boss, he was like,
Hey, I'm going to take the coach with me and show him around the base, and we're going to do some jobs and all this stuff.
I'm like, okay, cool. This guy must be okay. So the first job, it was replacing a circulating pump for these hot water heaters in this mechanical room. So we get there, we show up, everything, we're prepping the area, we're about to swap out this pump. All of a sudden, he was carrying the radio, right? And you could hear somebody else call on the radio saying that they need help with the job, but they were talking to the supervisor, not him. So all of a sudden, as I'm prepping the area, I'm getting ready and I'm about to install this pump, he was kind of like,
hey, do you mind? I need to go run, and I'm going to go help out and see what this other guy was having problems with, and I'll be right back.
At this time, it was probably like around 8:30, 8:45 in the morning, right? While he was gone, I had my tools and everything. I went on and installed the circulating pump, got it running and everything, took the old one out and was getting ready to prepare it so we could go and trash it later. It's about 9 or something like that, 9:15. And I'm like, So while I was there, I saw filters in this mechanical room. So I decided to go ahead. I said, wow, those filters look dirty on the air handler. So I changed the filters. I actually cleaned the air handler. And then I just went on and started cleaning the mechanical room itself, right? And by then it's like 9:30, 9:40. So almost an hour has passed. And this guy hasn't come back. So I was just like, oh, damn, they must be stuck on something. So I go into the building and talk to the customers like, hey, is everything working all right? The heat, you guys haven't had any problems? They like, no. And then I changed the filters inside the building. I'm doing all this work to kill time until he comes back. Well, this dude didn't come back to damn near 11 o'clock, right? And I'm in the mechanical room. I was just sitting there waiting. I had cleaned up the mechanical room, cleaned up the air handler, changed filters on the air handler, changed filters inside the building, plus, took the old pump out and installed it, got it running and everything. And so when he drives up, of course, he sees me having a seat, right? Next thing I know, I jump in the truck with him and I'm thinking everything's all hunky dory. Well, some months go by and then this employee, he gets moved to another shop or whatever in that situation. And one of our service receptionists that sat at the front desk all day and would answer calls and when people called in when their heating and air wasn't working, one day he pulled me to the side and he was like, man, he said, I'm tired of keeping this a secret. I just can't do this no more because it's not right. And I was kind of like, what is this dude talking about? So I'm thinking he's about to say something like racist to me or something like that. Well, the guy told me, he said, hey, so-and-so, the guy you was working with when you first got here? And I said, yeah. And he was like, man, he has been doing nothing but bad mouthing you the whole time. He was like, even now that he's moved away, he even calls the boss up there. He said, because I could hear him because the boss has him on speakerphone and he's just trashing you, saying you don't know anything. And he said that first day he going back to that job that I did, he was saying that when he pulled back up, I just sat there and he was the one that installed the pump and cleaned up everything. And he said, I just sat there like I didn't know nothing.
Wow.
And I was like, what the, what? I was like, this is some bullshit to the highest degree. And I was like, what? And I was just in shock, just like you were, because this guy was all up in my grill, smiling every day and talking to me and asking what I do after work and all this bullshit. And the whole time he was telling the bosses that I wasn't about shit.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like you said, I know that exact feeling of dealing with that in that situation. And, the people that are out there, if you're listening to this, write in the comments section if you ever dealt with a situation like this before. If you had someone that you thought was looking out for you at the job and to only backstab you in the back several times. So, Rifa, have you encountered anything else like that? Or maybe as a supervisor, have you encountered some of these type of employees that I named earlier?
Yeah, I remember being a supervisor for another retail store to where there was I guess, another manager that transferred from another store. I guess they relocated.
Mm-hmm.
And so once that individual came to the store, I guess she had to get familiar with the managers that's already there and figure how they work so that we can figure how to work with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so we do have to where we have district managers and corporate people visit. And so she will, I mean, before a visit, she'll come up to me because and trying to ask me, okay, so yeah, you're used to the district people around this district. So she'll ask me, oh, so how does this person react to this thing? So we pretty much will go through a department and she's point out things, and I'm telling, okay, well, this is going to be a problem. They're not going to be too into it. So this work on that. And pretty much trying to get her ready to where, as a store as a whole, we all have a pretty good visit.
Mm-hmm.
And I go through all that. And sometimes when when you're working, that you figure easier way to do things, not necessarily the way that is in black and white for you to do, but you still get into the same result and you don't have to waste that much time. So I will give her pointers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So long story short, we had a visit, and part of the shortcut that I told her, even though it worked, I mean, worked very well. So when the district people were walking the floor, and so she decided to bring up the incident that I told her, or the way that I do things that work pretty well. I mean, which is all good. I was glad she was listening to me, but she brought out as that was her idea that she brought up.
Yes.
So she pretty much presented that situation like, oh yeah, look what I came up with, yada yada. So I'm looking at her like, I mean, I smiled. I wasn't getting upset because I like, what, it is what it is. But it's one of those to where she moved to a new store and she's trying to put her face out there, and I guess that's how she decided to do it.
Yeah. And I understand that. Yeah, Lee. And that happens too. I know that happened to me in the military, similar situation where there was a person and I was over this person. I got promoted before this person did. So I kind of outranked him for a few months, and we were doing PT. We were jogging, and me and this person, we always kind of kept our pace. It wasn't fast and it wasn't slow either. So we was kind of moderate in between. And some people pass us up, sometimes they wouldn't. Well, this high-ranking individual, let's just say that, as this person had caught up to us, then this other individual was like,
Hey, Don, yeah, you got to pick it up. Let's pick it up. Come on now. We can't be slacking here. We can't let the senior master sergeant pass us here.
while the senior master sergeant is there, and I'm looking at this person like, I'm the one helping you. You're the one struggling, running. You understand what I'm saying? And so, as you said, the first time, I kind of just blew it off. I was just like, maybe it was just a coincidence, or maybe, we were almost done running the 3 miles or whatever. So, he just brought that up. So a week or two go by, and then I think this time we were almost finishing the run, and we was like coming around the corner. Well, some of the high-ranking officials in our flight in the Air Force, they were kind of standing around, kind of like timing everybody, making sure everybody finished the run and stuff. And so again, all through this run, he's sweating like he didn't had like 4 heart attacks and 3 strokes. And he's struggling. I'm the one that's kind of slowing down to stay with him to keep him motivated to keep running. And we come around the corner, and then here he go again.
Oh yeah, come on, Glenn. We got to get across. We gotta do this. Come on, man. You lacking up.
And I'm like, the nerd. So I kind of just what I did, I started sprinting. I started like running fast and just like left him struggling right there. And then when I got to the finish line, I turned around and was like, how's that? And he's over there breathing all hard, about to fall out and stuff. And I'm like, dude. So once we, went in, showered, got ready for work, I pulled him to the side and confronted him about that. I was like, what are you trying to prove here? I was like, you are the one that's struggling. So don't try to come out here and try to play like just because the senior officers or non-commissioned officers are around, you're the one helping me. I'm the one that's helping you. And then I told him, hey, from now on, you can go find you another run buddy. Again, I know we have similar stories. So with that being said, how do you deal with bad coworkers? What do you do, Rifa?
So as far as the first situation where I got promoted, my buddy was all excited about me being promoted, and again we started at the same time. I guess I just advanced a lot faster than him, and he did not like it.
Right.
So I mean, pretty much what I did. I mean, me realizing okay, that's going on. You don't want to go get involved in back and forth or entertaining the situation. So I pretty much just ignored that I knew about it. And just stay professional. And prior to that, me and this guy, after work we hang out, and he pretty much knows my friends, and I know his friends. So I also cut that out because again, if he's doing that behind my back, and anything that we might do privately, personally after work, I can also see that being pushed into work somehow. So I pretty much just I avoided him as far as personally, and then at work I just kept everything professional and simple. And so whatever I do or whatever I say to him, I kind of keep an email. Hey, I had a conversation so I email it to him and to our supervisor, kind of like, hey, just a heads up, today we accomplished this, and this. This person did this and that. So that way, there's also a paper trail on what I'm actually saying, just in case this person decides to go around and say something otherwise.
That's right. And it's coming from you first.
Right.
So great move. And so with me, like you said, the first thing I would try to do is avoid them or ignore them, as you was just stating. And you already kind of explained that. I mean, just try to stay out of their line of sight as much as possible. Doesn't mean you can't speak to them or you can't say, hey, how's it going? And what I like to say is I keep it as a paragraph conversation. Keep it as something that is quick and I move on. The second thing I like to do is I will try to pull them to the side, like I said in that second story that I gave, and have a heart-to-heart talk with them, or man to man, chest to chest, whatever you want to call it, and just try to let them know, hey, what you were doing, that wasn't cool, that wasn't kosher in my book, and this and that. Please do not do this again. Or you can decide to kind of cut them off from there. And again, in the heart to heart, just make sure you're not super aggressive, as Riffle was saying. You can just have a professional, assertive tone and just tell them that you don't appreciate what they're doing. And then third, I try to show them that I'm about getting the job done. And that's kind of what you were stating, Rifa, is that, you got promoted before this guy, you kept it moving, you stayed focused on your job, and you didn't let it distract you. And you just showed them that, hey, you can do whatever you want. It's not going to stop you from succeeding or getting the job done. Fourth, if it keeps going, if it escalates a little more, then I may try to talk to my boss or our boss, if we have the same boss, or talk to that person's boss or supervisor and kind of let them know what's going on, and just, try to get the situation or hope that their boss or supervisor straightens it out. And then last thing, If that fails and it becomes a toxic environment, this person is messing with you, or you're going to have to mess with them, it may cost you your job, then try to transfer to another section or department. Or if that doesn't work, then it's just probably time to move on to go to another company. So that's what I have on those tips in order to resolve those problems or issues if you're dealing with a bad coworker or coworkers, plural. So in that situation, that's what we were stating here by giving our life experiences. And again, for those of you out there, please feel free to share a story or share how you deal with bad coworkers or anything in that situation. So with that being said, Rifa, do you have anything else?
Oh yeah, just a few more things. So I was just, as far as my second situation where the manager was trying to get credit for the ideas that I had. I mean,
Mhm.
so after the visit, so I mean, I jokingly kind of brought up, "Hey man, that's kind of oh, so you did bring that up," kind of like joke. So I mean, she laughed, we laughed about it.
Mhm.
So with that said, I mean, but our supervisor, I mean, already knew just because on a daily basis, that's what she see me doing. So it
Mhm.
wasn't such a big deal as far as supervisor is concerned, to knowing whose idea was it and whatnot. It's just the fact that she brought it up, and again, the visit went well. The entire store had a good score, so
Mhm.
I was happy about that. But sometimes, if you have to deal with people like that, if they might consistently hang around with you, do what you do, just and taking credit. And at that point, if you get to if you get to a situation where you sat down either jokingly or you sat down and talked to him personally, and it continued happening, again, you might want to get a mediator. Reach out to your supervisor. Maybe all three of y'all can have a conversation.
Good
And I mean,
point.
you don't necessarily have to run from your job,
Right.
but again, get somebody involved, and again, transferring, it's an option. But again, sometimes I kind of take that as a compliment for somebody trying to do what I do. So again, with everybody's situation is going to be different. You just got to figure out which one works for you. The best way.
Hey, great points. And those are some great gems to drop in that situation. Do you have anything else?
That's about it. That's all I got.
Oh, sounds great. And that's all I have on that topic, too. So, with that being said, it is time for the conclusion, which is, should we shut up on this or work on it?
Believe it's something that we should work on. I mean, because there's way more situation or things that happen at work that not necessarily what we talk about today, but it could be something we could talk about in a different segment or whatnot. But I think we should keep working on it.
Yeah, and you're right about that because I got plenty of more stories of dealing with toxic coworkers and stuff, especially from my last job right before I retired. There's a huge story in that, but
Mhm.
I'll save it for another time, for another segment, and another day. So, with that being said, the last thing I just want to say to everybody out there, please, if you like the content that we are bringing to you, then like, share, and subscribe and hit that bell notice so you'll get an update every time we post a new video. Other than that, thank you for your time. And you have been listening to the Shut Up and Work podcast. I am the coach along with my host, Rifa, and we will see you on the next segment. Take care.